Welcome to God's Principles for Healthy Relationships, Season 2. Today we are going to talk about intentional dating. My name is Martin Raj and this is my wife Debbie.
Yes, today's topic is an exciting one because it will help us in the process of finding someone. But first we want to read a verse that is going to be the foundation for part of this episode. Matthew 5:37 says, "But let your yes be yes, and your no, no. For whatever is more than these is from the evil one." So God is saying it's very important for us to be clear, to know when it's yes, when it's no, and to just not be in between, in gray zones, lingering there. So when we talk about intentional dating, we want to make clear what we mean by dating. As you might know, and if not, you'll get to know now, we come from very different cultures and backgrounds. Martin is from south part of India. I grew up in South America, in Argentina. So we don't have so many names for the dating or relationship process. Here in this country, dating is one thing, courting is another thing, then you have engagement and so forth. In many other countries, once you know this is the person you would like to pursue because you want to marry them, it's not just pursue for a short term. If everything keeps moving forward, one day you get engaged and then you get married. So basically it's the relationship phase where you get to know someone, you have a friendship, then you have the romance coming in, you express your interest, you become boyfriend and girlfriend, and all of that process is the relationship aspect. And then the engagement is the big time where you both set up the date for your wedding and you move forward. So intentional dating is basically intentionally building relationships, and we're not talking about just friendships, but romantic relationships. So with that being clear, we are going to keep talking and mentioning dating as the word of being in a relationship or trying to connect and find our partner. So dating without intention is like a couple things. Sailing without a compass, you will drift, but you might not arrive ever to the destination you wanted if you don't have clarity. Shopping without a list. You might spend a lot more time in the store and get what you actually do not need, and you will lose more money and time and many times forget the importance. So building a house, for example, without a blueprint, it will be chaotic, and at the end, that might not be even safe. So that's why we talk a lot and we encourage young people, be intentional. What is intentional? What comes to your mind like to describe that word, honey?
So for me, it is like if you're playing a game, your intention is to win in that game. If you're doing something like a project, your intention is basically like the goal. What is the end goal? You want to complete it. Like the other day, I was mowing the lawn and the recoil wire broke. My intention was to fix it so that I can continue with mowing the lawn. So basically, intention is what is the end goal.
Yeah, the end goal, having a purpose, being clear. Okay, so having purpose, being clear, having a goal in mind. Even if it doesn't happen fully, you have clarity. What you're aiming for. If not, it's like you're shooting in the dark. So if you don't have that intentional dating, you might end up where you don't want. It can become more messy and confusing, and then it's just reactive. You're just trying to survive, to react to whatever is happening, but you're not even knowing where this is going. So you can honor your heart and God when we have intentionality, when we do things out of clarity, purpose, even if the process is not always clear, but at least we ourselves have clarity of where we want to go by God's grace. So intentional dating is a foundation if you do want to build a strong foundation. And in the process, yes, certain things might end, and they might end even quicker when you are intentional because now you have clarity. it's not about just a checklist. It's many other things that we've shared in this series and the previous season 1 that checklist can help, like in the sense of what am I looking for, what does God say, what are my core values, and going back to that as a reference point, especially when our emotions are confused and we feel like, oh, I feel this fits in. But then if we pray and look at certain things that we were clear, it will be like, oh, yeah, this is not really what I've been praying for. This is not aligning. It will make me compromise so much of what is important too. So having intentionality will help us also to have clarity and maybe move on quicker from things that are not meant to be.
And now we will see some of the key points on intentional dating. Dating with intention prevents destruction by default. We need to remember that dating with intention prevents destruction by default. What do we mean by that? If you don't have an intention and you are dating, it can lead to other places that you don't want to. And you might be in a bind where the person that God has kept for you might be passing right in front of you and you are just dating someone else just for the sake of dating. But dating with intention, what happens is you are preventing a destruction, a lifelong suffering, just because you are having intentions. And how can you have a relationship or dating phase without without having intention? You might be dating them because you were pressured to be in that relationship. I was in my previous relationship. I was pressured into being in it because someone else told me, and I have to be. It is because this is a great person, yada, yada, yada. And the people pleaser mindset came in. I'm like, oh, great. And then I started thinking about my name, my reputation, and a lot of things. There was a lot of pressure. So I just got into the relationship thinking that is what I'm supposed to do. That is dating without intention. Because my intention was not to move forward, but I had to move forward, or at least that is what I thought, because I was under this pressure. But then other things that you could be in a relationship or you're dating is because you feel lonely. Sometimes people just get into a relationship because they feel lonely. Oh, I don't want to be by myself. I want to be with someone that can care for me and I can have a partner, I can this, that. There is a lot of excuses we can give, but again, that is not the right reason to be in relationship. Another excuse to be in relationship or reason to be in relationship is because all my peers are in a relationship. All my friends have a spouse or a partner, or they are even having children, and I'm by myself. I don't want it. I want to marry right away. I want to find a girlfriend or a boyfriend right away because other people are there. I will feel left out and I don't want to be. So these are all bad reasons to be in a relationship, in a dating phase. So dating with intention means you are now dating because you're confident. You feel that God has led you both together. You see the values. You understand why you are there. And that is the one that is going to keep you and protect you and help you to have a better experience. If not, the other three reasons we gave, it's going to keep you in a suffering for a while. Maybe you might even have a heartbreak or cause heartbreak for other people because of your careless choice.
That's very important to really be intentional, and different people might have different intentionalities, different goals in mind. So we need to, the second point is communicate is protection. So communication will lead to protect our hearts, protect the other person, and it shouldn't be for the sake of pressuring someone. So be like, I feel God is leading me to this, so I'm communicating it, and then the other person feels bad to say no. It's not about pressure, it's about communicating so we can have clarity. And one of the clients I work with, she was used to just going for dates without an intention, just to kind of go hang out and and just, get pretty and enjoy a time with someone, a random person that maybe she didn't even know. And so as she started learning these things, I said, you need to be very clear. Why are you going out? Are you just going out to have a nice time? Are you going out because you're looking, and one of her goals was to get ready for marriage, for commitment, not just go out, date, and have fun, or, a good time, and then that's it. Maybe not see the person again, but really, what is your intention? So she started getting clear herself what were her goals, what were her goals, and so she became very intentional in the process. And first she was like, should I, just right away get to know the person and ask? And I was like, if you really are intentional in this dating, you do need to ask specific questions to get to know the guy. You cannot just have a good time and not even know what is his vision of life, who he is, like really get to know the person. And then I also encourage her to express what were her goals from the get-go. So that she wanted to wait for marriage, for sex, not before, because many do not have that in mind. And then we find ourselves in a bind with someone initiating things that we do not want. And so she was clear, and she decided to make changes in her dating and approach to relationships. And so the first time she met then with a guy, she had her friends come to also help her evaluate and see what others think about it. She was very clear, she became very intentional, and she's now in a flourishing relationship with someone, being very clear what their goal is. They are praying about it, they are seeing things together, and not just letting time go by without truly getting to know each other and what they're looking for. So communication helps us to let go of something that is not meant to be, because I was like, don't be afraid. If a guy is like, oh, you want to wait for marriage, I'm not interested in that, then that's not for you. Let him go. Don't even meet up with him. So it will help us to protect our hearts, our bodies, our mind from things that can be very destructive.
And my point goes along with what Debbie was sharing. Boundaries. Boundaries build connection, not walls. And that's because you are setting up your own boundary, and it is a protection for you, and it keeps you clear and it keeps them clear as to what you are expecting. If someone is saying, I want to date, I want to be in a relationship, but I don't see anything more than that, or we can have this close, intimate friendship, but I don't see anything more than that, then where is your boundary? You need to think on those things, and you need to be very clear. If you feel like this is the one God has kept for you and you want to move forward in marriage, and the other person doesn't see it that way, back off, because that is your boundary, right? You don't have to be waiting for crumbs. You don't have to wait for them to approve. There are so many Hollywood movies I have seen actually, and you might have seen as well, where the guy and the girl, they start having sex, right? They start having sex, and then the girl asks, so where is this going? And then the guy doesn't know where it is going, because there is no intention behind anything. It's just free sex and move on. But it is hurtful, right? It is hurting. And we need to be careful with those things. So I think it is very important to set the boundaries in the beginning of the friendship, dating phase, relationship, whatever it might be. When Debbie and I, we started our relationship, we were very clear where this was headed to. And Debbie was clear with her specific boundaries, and she was saying, yes, these are some things I'm okay with, these are some things I'm not okay with. And I was also, same thing, I knew what I wanted, and we both had the intention. So boundaries helps with building. It doesn't mean it is a wall. And also something that we also have noticed is that in the beginning stages of your dating phase or relationship phase, set the boundaries then and there. Don't wait for months and then later on set the boundaries, because it makes it even hard, because the other person is going to be like, all these months you were okay with it, and now all of a sudden you're setting boundaries. What is going on? Or what changed? That is one part of the boundary setting. The other part of the boundary setting is don't feel pressured to move forward in marriage just because the other person wants you to marry immediately. So, in my previous relationship, 6 months into the so-called relationship, they were pressuring me, like the pastor was pressuring me, asking, "You are 6 months into relationship and you're not engaged yet? You need to be engaged soon." And the girl was also like, "Yeah, people get engaged in 6 months and in less than a year they get married," and yada yada yada. Now, if both has the same intention, that's a different story.
Yeah.
If both wants to get married as soon as possible, you want to get married in 6 months, that's between you both and God. That is not what I'm trying to say here. The point is, don't feel the pressure if one person, like your partner, wants you to get married, but you feel like you're not ready for it yet. So set boundaries. Set boundaries in the beginning stage itself. It will be hard for you to say when you will get married in the beginning of your relationship. However, you can give certain specific times. You need this many months for you to know about each other, and then we can see how it can go.
And interestingly, in our relationship, when we started, Martin had clarity and peace that this was from God. And now he was kind of ready to get married sooner. Before he was feeling pressure, now he felt like, yes, this is the one, but I didn't feel ready. So now he had to wait for me because he was like, I think, after maybe 6-9 months, we can be ready for marriage. And I was like, no, like at least 9 months I need of relationship without even being engaged, because I needed to work on many of my things that I've shared previously, from traumas and just lack of security about who he was. And I needed time to build trust and to know that this was truly God's will, because I had experiences before that things collapsed and they started good and looking great, but then things were stuck. So I wanted to see long term, not only God giving me peace, but seeing not just the words, but the actions long term. And it took me like a year until I fully felt I'm ready. I'm ready to get engaged, to move forward. I know this is God's will and I have full peace. So it was a process of getting to know someone, of truly not pushing myself and lying to myself like, yes, I'm ready, he's ready, and if this is God's will, we'll figure it out. But truly and I expressed that to him, and he was like, oh, okay, well, he gave me the time and the space and didn't pressure me, so I could grow and develop in my time. So that boundary, like I set my boundary, I need at least 9 months of relationship before I can even consider to get engaged to someone. And so he respected that. And in so many other ways, we had to respect each other, even if we thought differently or felt differently. And that shows, number one, when we set boundaries, it will show if someone truly knows how to respect, which is so important in a relationship. Number two, when we set boundaries, it will show if someone truly loves us or just loves us if we do what they want. So, we highly encourage you, whatever is something important for you, express it from the beginning, share your boundary, and it's going to just reveal a lot about the other person, so that you are not thinking everything is smooth and maybe the other person is really not ready to respect you or value you. So the fourth key point is casual doesn't equal safe. So casual dating, relationship, sometimes we feel like, oh, that is safer, because if it's too committed and formal, then that's more dangerous and complicated. So for that, we encourage develop friendships, get to know people. That is more casual, and that will allow you to really get to know people, not just you and them, but in different settings with other people. So really build those friendships. That is the time where you don't need to worry about necessarily intentionality, but more inclusiveness, and just really pray, observe, and get to know others. But if we do things casually when it comes to relationship, dating, courtship, however you want to call it, if we are casual, we are in danger of still ruining and impacting our life in a deep level, because casual might seem sometimes safer, but it will still have an impact. So nowadays we know in the world and even in Christian circles, different people think, casual sex, it's safer because you don't have a commitment and you can learn about each other. You can see if you really align in that level physically. But the wounds that it creates, emotional trauma, especially in us ladies, it's huge. And the connection that is built with that person, even if then you move on to someone else, will be still lingering, and it will be something that God will have to truly heal and detach. And that process can be very, very painful. So God encourages us not to do things casually, and God's principle is to be prayerful, to be watching, to be intentional in things so that we are not hurt on a deeper level. And so we can save ourselves a lot of emotional distress and roller coasters, and even not only for us, but later on when God leads us to the person that He wants, it's going to create a lot more emotional trauma in that relationship, because everything we've done, even if is our past, will be something that will hurt someone else that truly loves us. So God never intended that we create those baggages. And yes, God can heal, He can restore us, He can make it new. But we don't have to keep in that pattern if God has a better plan for us and we can trust Him. So before we give, I like to say it in this way to my girls, like I call them, the girls I work with, is don't sell yourself for a cheap price. You're not a $5 girl. You're not even, $10. You are so valuable. Don't give yourself away easily, because it might seem they love me. They tell me I'm beautiful. It might feel like love, but the after effect is rejection, is worthlessness. If you want to grow your self-worth, treat yourself like you are of value. Don't sell yourself cheaply, because men won't value you more because of that, but less. It will lead to more abuse, more emotional distress and roller coaster. So ask God to help you. First, identify if a guy deserves you. Does he respect me? Does he value me? And then allow God to help you find the process of that relationship that will glorify God.
Absolutely. So basically, to sum it up, intentional dating, intentional relationship means you are clear, you're consistent, and you're headed towards marriage. But this doesn't mean you have to marry that person. There might be some red flags you might see later on. God might reveal certain things, and it might not be a best match. You can back off before marriage if that is the case that you see. But if you don't see it, the dating phase, the relationship phase you are at, it has to be headed towards marriage. So we have our challenge for this episode, and that is dating values list. Write your top 5 relationship values. Examples can be honor God and not feel pressured to go against my conscience, or another value is that they respect you. Another value is that you feel safe, you feel confident, you feel like you are treasured. Different things. Write down your top 5 relationship values, and then ask, am I dating toward these or away from them? The second one is, would someone know these values by watching how I date? I'm Martin Raj, and this is my wife Debbie. We are on God's Principles for Healthy Relationships Season 2. We'll see you in another episode.